Hello and welcome to Pyrotech Talks. This is the ongoing series of seminars for fireworks enthusiasts. We cover a wide variety of pyrotechnic topics. Today we're going to talk about Western WinterBlast and the things that you might want to know about attending that event. This is aimed mostly at people that are new to the club, but also we're going to cover the COVID protocol as well. So before we get started on that, go ahead to the next slide there, Dennis, if you would. I want to introduce our panelists and also do a little bit of housekeeping stuff. For those of you that are not familiar with the Zoom platform, and that's shocking to me since we've been in this COVID thing for 2 years, I figure everybody's done Zoom at some point. There are some buttons on your screen that will allow you to change the way you view this thing. If you go up to the top, there's a view options button, and you can adjust to gallery view, speaker view. You can move the speakers up on a ribbon across the top or over to the right, just kind of whatever you want to do to make yourself comfortable how you want to view this. There is a Q&A feature, and in that we will ask you to type your questions in there and we will answer them in a timely fashion. If it's a question about the subject that we are presently talking about or just talked about, we'll answer it straight away. If the question doesn't seem to be related to what we're discussing at the moment, we may hold it to the end. The chat function is available for panelists. I'm not certain that the participants can get at it. We'll find out here shortly. Let me introduce myself. First of all, my name is Mike Garrett. I am the co-chair for seminars for the club for Western Pyrotechnic Association. I'm also the co-chair for Pyrotech Talks. And with that, let me introduce the rest of the presenters today. We've got Dennis Mealy. He is the secretary of the club. He's also the registration staff on the registration staff for the event. Tackett Austin is the VP of Communications, excuse me. If you have additional questions or if you're on a flip phone or otherwise can't see the video, please email communications@westernpyro.org. That's communications@westernpyro.org, and Tackett will make sure that we get your questions and other things dealt with there. Moving along, we've got John Noonan. He's our membership chair for the club and the registration chair for this particular event. Michelle Joy is the registration co-chair. Let's see, Sam Christensen is promotion staff. Steve Wilson, who's hanging in the background, is seminars chair. Pyrotech Talks chair. Brooke Roselle is seminars staff and Pyrotech Talks staff. And as I mentioned, I am seminars co-chair and Pyrotech Talks co-chair. All right, with that, I think I'm ready to toss it over to Dennis, unless there's any comments from anybody else. Okay, Dennis, you're gonna have to unmute your, oh, you are.
Okay. And thanks, Mike. Very excited to be here and doing this. This is the first time we're doing a pre-WinterBlast seminar on what you need to know about attending WinterBlast. And I hope this is just, the first of many that we'll be doing. Just so everybody knows that once this seminar is concluded, this will be available on our public YouTube channel. So that others can view this at their will before they come to WinterBlast. So feel free to make sure that you advertise this to other folks that this is available for them to look at. Okay. We have quite a few topics that we want to cover today. We're going to talk about the club's COVID policy for this event. We'll talk about how to get to Sarah Park and what the registration process is going to be this year. It's and John Noonan will cover that along with Michelle. We'll cover manufacturing, registration, event volunteering, what new people can expect. We'll cover some things on seminars and workshops, and we'll also talk about the general business meeting that's occurring at the event. Okay, so with that, if there's no questions before we start, I'd like to turn it over to Tackett, who's going to talk about the COVID policy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our event here. We're going to talk about the COVID policy in just a moment, but I want to lead into that a little bit. COVID is one of the most divisive things that I've seen in my lifetime, and being on the board was really difficult this year because we knew that we had to make some kind of decision about COVID, and that no matter what we did, it would irritate a lot of people and there'd be a lot of name calling. And that a lot of people would think that we're doing it wrong. The funny thing is that we had either one or two people weigh in with their opinion before we made that decision. After we made this decision, we got bombarded with a bunch of thank yous, a bunch of attaboys, and a bunch of hate mail. And what I got out of that is that people need to get involved a little earlier. Like waiting until things are done and decided and over and then screaming about it doesn't help anybody. Okay, so please get involved in your club. This club is your licensed, legal, safe access to amazing pyro. And we have education, we have displays, we have the ability to purchase and light pyro on site, you have the ability to make your own great stuff. Support your club, get involved. And don't wait till after something happens to get all up in arms about it. And on that, let's talk about the COVID policy. Dennis? Thank you. All right, so we are going to have a health check center, and our registration folks will show you where the health check center is. But basically, before you go through the secured gate into the grounds, you go to the health check center, you bring your photo ID, because not everyone knows who everyone is, and you have three options for getting in through the gate. And one is you bring a proof of vaccination. Two is you test, or three, FDA approved antigen tests, instant at-home tests. Once you do one of those, you either proof that you are negative or that you've been vaccinated, you're going to get a wristband. And Dennis, next slide, please. All right, so the policy for proof of verification. It needs to be 2 weeks after your final shot. So if you get one J&J shot, that needs to be 2 weeks for the event. If you got Pfizer or Moderna, that needs to be 2 weeks or more before the event. So basically, if you're not vaccinated yet, you don't have your second Moderna shot yet, you better get it by Monday or Tuesday. But if you are fully vaccinated already, you've had your one J&J or your two Moderna or Pfizers, you're in. Boosters are not required. And you can prove that to us by bringing your vaccination card issued by the CDC. You can have a photo of it on your phone. You can use, you can have a photocopy of it. Okay, all the pretty standard methods. I live out in the sticks, so we don't have fancy smartphone apps that show our status, but if you have one of those, it might be readable by our staff, but we're not going to guarantee that's readable. Please bring it back up. Okay. If you go to a lab and have a test, that test needs to be taken 72 hours within a 72-hour window of showing up at the event and showing your test results. So we know that people are driving long distances away. We realize that testing, getting your results back can take a little while. So we kind of opened up the window to make it a little easier for people. But if you are more than 72 hours out on your test before you show up at registration, before you show up at the health check, we're not going to count it. Your third option is any of the over-the-counter tests that are FDA approved. They're the instant tests. Costco's had a bunch of them lately. They are slowly getting on the market again. To use one of these tests, you need to bring your own unopened test. Okay, the club is not providing tests, so bring your own. You're gonna go to the booth, open up the test, administer the test, wait 15 minutes, show your negative result to the folks sitting at the booth. Okay. If you do one of those three things, you will get a wristband, and that wristband will let you through the security gate. If you're wearing the wristband, you get through the gate. If you're not wearing a wristband, you don't get through the gate. If you leave your wristband on all week, you get through the gate all week. You only have to come back to the health check station if your wristband is removed for some reason. Dennis, could you, next slide, please? Okay. This is a club of friends. Please don't ask your friends to trust you that, well, I had COVID, so I'm immune, or, oh, I forgot my card, I don't have it. Deal with their stuff. You got to remember your safety glasses. You got to remember your hard hats. Bring your test or your proof. Okay. Again, you don't need to go to the health check station every day. If you do the instant test and you fail it, you can try again that same day, or you can come back another day, but we are not going to let you into the event if you self-test and it's positive. Highly recommend that you self-test before you leave home if that's the option that you're choosing. And this came as a request from our registration folks. But the people staffing that station are your fellow club members. Anyone being abusive to those people can be denied entry to the event. Okay, they didn't write this policy. I wrote this policy. Don't take it out on them. Okay. Dennis, I think that's our next slide. Yeah,
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Actually, we had a question from Tal that's time pertinent here. He wants to know if vaccinated people don't have to take a test, a PCR or a instant test. You know, what's up with that? Why? Well, you know, they can carry COVID. What do you want to say about that? I know the answer, but
yeah. So the board was going for a policy that would offer reasonable protection to our members. We're going for a policy that would not have giant hurdles to get through. Obviously, you know, the best that we could do would be to require a test every 6 hours that you're on site or something like that. Nobody would come to the event because that would just be such a gigantic hurdle to go through. So we spent a lot of time debating, talking with ourselves, other staff members, medical advisors. We're in a tough position. There is no perfect answer here, but we tried to strike a middle ground that made sense to most people, could be done for little money or no money at all, and would allow people on either side of the COVID debate to come in to the event. We think we've done a pretty good job because at this point, our registration is pretty close to what it's been historically. Now, we know that people aren't showing up. We know there are some people that are really upset with the board because of you know, they don't like the policy, so they're going to stay home, and we knew that would happen. There are also people who are staying home because they don't think there's enough protection. I have some pretty elderly family members who are sitting this year out because they, you know, don't want to be hospitalized right now. They, you know, they're somewhat unsure about being at a large public gathering. So we knew that we were going to make people unhappy on either side. We chose the middle ground. We think that it is safe enough, and that's where we are. We talked about masks, and we decided that since this is a mostly outdoor event, you control the space around you. You do not need to wear a mask. If you're in a crowded space, probably ought to wear one and be respectful to the people around you. If you see somebody wearing a mask and you don't want to wear one, give them some space. One example of that is at the registration booth. These folks have to talk to every single person coming in through the gate. They're going to talk to 600 people. They're going to be exposed to 600 people over that weekend, or over that week. So they are choosing to wear masks. Cut them some slack. Be a decent human being. If you are putting product into a magazine or a bunker or some other kind of enclosed space, just go in one group at a time. You know, you've got your pyro buddies that you're being close to, go in with that group. But, you know, if Mike Garrett's in there, don't go in with Mike Garrett. Show him some respect. Just, you know, be smart about this.
Great, thanks, Tackett. Any questions? So what we'll like to do is after each little segment, we'll take additional questions if there are any. If not, we'll just move on to the next topic.
Hey, Dennis, Terry has some questions, but they're kind of a shotgun of things. So I'll salt them in as we move along here, or we can address them offline at the end.
Except for the first one, I think we'll cover the other ones. The question 2 and 3 will get covered. So, all right. So there is one from Ryan Arnold. Are there going to be people in the stands for the nightly displays? And if so, what are the COVID protocols for them? Ryan, we don't know. As far as we can tell, the city of Lake Havasu is a non-vaccinated required city. City council says they don't have to put a policy in, so they're not. It's the general public. We don't control the general public, so the answer is we don't know, and it's out of our sphere of influence.
Dennis, can I help to clarify that?
Sure.
Okay, so there are 2 areas in Sarah Park. One of those areas you need event credentials, you need a lanyard, you need a wristband, you need to be a WPA member to get through that gate. Those rules apply inside that gate. If you are not a WPA member, you just want to go sit in the grandstands and watch a fireworks show, almost none of this meeting applies to you. Okay. You are not paying to come into the WPA event. You are paying $10 to park your car and sit in the grandstands. The city of Lake Havasu gets that money. They're in control of the grandstands. The Western Pyrotechnic Association is not involved in that in any way. So they have their sets of rules, which as far as we know is there are none. And we have our sets of rules, which we're trying to keep some small amount of control because it's a multi-day event with a whole lot of people from all around the country. So if you're a spectator, have fun, sit in the grandstands, don't worry about our COVID policy.
Thanks for that. Bo Yeager's asked if there's any specific mask requirements. The answer on that is no. Again, we are trying to prefer that when we do wear masks or the test, again, that is based on, government and CDC regulations. So if you prefer the N95 or K95 mask, that's great. If you prefer the regular surgical mask, that's fine as well.
Okay, I'm done with it.
Nope. You're going to say something?
I was going to say I am done with all the COVID stuff. So I think we're on to our next section here. And
I'm going to go ahead and put on my headset since it looks like I'm starting to develop issues with my microphone. So. Okay, Terry, we'll hold your question for the next event, the next segment that's coming up. Same thing with Tal, your follow-on question. So actually, these 2 questions are a great segue into the next set of topics that we're going to talk about. I'm going to turn it over to John Noonan and Michelle Joy, who will talk about what to do when you're arriving at Sarah Park and the registration process. So John, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Actually, we'll open up with a brief comment on the COVID situation, the COVID policy. I hadn't even had a chance to tell this to Tackett because just last night I spoke to one of our staff members who's a full-time RVer, and he recently spent a week at the rodeo grounds back there behind our racetrack at a big RV event. He said there was about 500 rigs, And they had exactly the same policy that we're using, which is you're either vaccinated or you have a negative test. And he said it all went very smoothly, and he was not aware of any problems. So that, that was a good sign, because they have people coming from all over the country for events like that. So it's kind of become standard operating procedure, it seems. I did see a question go by briefly. I'll answer right away here, because it is sort of a segue between the two topics here. If you do test positive, or for some reason you can't go in, yes, we will refund your registration fees and your RV fee if you paid that. If you've ordered product from Flying Phoenix, they said no problem, they'll just restock it without any penalty to you or anything like that. So we're doing everything we can to, accommodate people that, have a problem here, knowing that, things are beyond our control sometimes. So on to arrival and registration stuff. So the map in front of you shows you how you get there to the site, which is a good place to start. Go to the site. What you can't do is you cannot put Sarah Park or Havasu 95 Speedway into your cell phone and follow that, because that will take you down Route 95 and into where Dennis is pointing, and you will hit a dead end there unless you are one of the public spectators coming out in the evening. As a member, you have to take the super secret member route, so don't tell anybody if they're not members, and you turn at the Ace Hardware store as you come in, and you go down this long, windy back road that goes around Sarah Park. And that leads you straight into the members area and members lot. Now, about halfway on that road, maybe about where that curve is at the bottom of the screen, the city sometimes runs, puts up a traffic stop, or sort of the barricade. They'll have somebody there, and they'll turn people around who don't have WPA credentials, because what happens is sometimes members of the public come in there by mistake, and then they get all the way down to our area and it's really congested and they got to turn around. So they try to deal with that before it gets back to our area. However, there's a catch-22. If you're just arriving and that checkpoint happens to be active, we have no control over it. How do you get by? Well, you can usually talk your way through, but to help you, we provide this, what we call the registration pass. We do not distribute this publicly on our website. We put it in the members only area, so you have to be a current member and logged in. We distribute it on our email distribution list, because we're trying to keep this, just for the members. If anybody needs this pass, they don't have access to it and they'd like to have it just to help make sure that their arrival goes smoothly, just send me an email, membership@westernpyro.org, and I'll send you this file. You can print it out. Okay, so next slide, please, Dennis. So this is what the area is going to look like when you arrive at the end of the road. Everything is going to be very similar in the past as far as procedures. The layout's a little bit different, and there's the extra health check stop. The green arrows here, the arrival route, that's where you come from around the back road. This really is not a through road at this point because it's blocked off just to the right of where those green arrows are. And so it's just kind of a driveway going into the members lot. And so the upper right-hand side of this picture is where all the members park their cars. And it's also where, if you have a member RV spot that you've paid for, you park your RV in there. So when you arrive, you just pull into that lot, park your car, and then you walk over to the health check station at the bottom of the screen there. That's an approximate location. It'll be across from the members entrance gate there. So it should be really easy to find. And then you go through the health check, the tech it described, and they will give you a wristband, and you keep that on for the entire event. If you are arriving in an RV to park in the members lot, when you pull into the members lot, Before you drop anchor and get all set up, please check with John Dix, our camp host, to make sure that you guys are in agreement on, how you're parking and where you're parking and things like that. If you have any special requests, I want to be with my, certain group of people, he help you get settled. But once you get settled, by the end, and if you prepaid for your RV spot, he will have the pass that you put in your RV. If you haven't paid, you'll have to, when you come to registration after health check, then you can pay for the RV pass, take it back out, stick it on your window, and keep John happy. We always like keeping our camp host happy. So everybody parks in the lot, and you head to the health check station. You go through your health check process. They give you the wristband. When you leave the health check station, they will point you over towards the members gate. You need to be approaching with your signed liability waiver in hand as you approach registration. That form has been available online in our public area on the event page of our website. So just so you can print it out ahead of time, sign it, and bring it with you just to make things go a little bit faster. If you haven't done that, there'll be blank forms at the health check station. And so the health check people will, probably should remind you, hey, make sure you have your signed waiver when you go over there. We got some blanks here if you need them. All right, so when you finish health check and get your wristband and have your waiver, you head over across the road to the member gate, and a registration staff member will direct you from there. They'll ask you, are you pre-registered or not? And Michelle's going to go into more details about that, so I'll save that for her. I do want to say, anybody that can register online before you arrive, we can register on site. If you can do it online, it's better for everybody. It allows us to, hold the crowds down around the area. We tend to have, big rushes, and people have to wait while we print the badges and take the payments and things like that. If you're pre-registered, you're actually into the event very quickly. You'll just go through the member gate. After you get your wristband, you go to the pre-registered check-in area, which again, Michelle will talk about. You get your badge, your stuff, and you're on your way very quickly. You can register online anytime until the end of the event. I don't recommend registering after the event because that would be pointless. But you could register in your hotel the night before when you arrive. If you're not registered yet, you can sit in your car in the parking lot and register online. Give us 15 or 20 minutes or whatever so we can see it and get your badge printed. Then you can come around and zip in real quick and be on your way. Tackett did mention that, we would appreciate people being respectful of the registration staff because they are literally dealing with hundreds of people from all over the country, people they don't know. Everybody will have been through health check by then, but it's something to be careful of, and we're trying to protect each other and take precautions that hopefully aren't necessary, but we just want to make sure. Registration staff will all be wearing masks. If you'd like to show a nice courtesy to them, they would appreciate if you wore a mask as you interact with them. It's not at all required, but just wanted to pass that word along. All right. At this point, I'll turn it over to Michelle, and she can talk about what happens when you arrive at the members gate to check in for registration.
Hi, welcome everybody. I hope this proves to be insightful for you all. As you enter through the members gate, you are entering into the registration area. At this point, we do ask that you be mindful to social distancing just for the safety of one and all. Nobody wants to leave here sick. We all want to have a great time, throw color in the sky, and just have a blast. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So here's the nitty gritty. Normally in past, registration has always happened on the deck of the trailer to the the left side of the members gate. This year we have split that registration into two areas. One area is what we're what we're identifying is full service. Anyone who is in need of registration payments of some kind, you will need to go through full registration. And then those of you who have pre-registered online, you're going to go to the right side. You will see a tent structure there. Inside there, we're hoping to have, we plan to have a series of tables. You'll need to look for the table that identifies your last name, quote, J for Joy or G for Garrett, etc. And you'll just, for those who have pre-registered, who have no incidents, that's the tent for you. You're going to walk in there, you're going to say, hand them your signed waiver that you either brought from home or that you picked up at the health check area. If you don't have that signed waiver, you will be politely asked to return to health check to get that. We have to have that waiver. So once the waiver has been given to us, we will then locate your badge, and we will proceed to give you your badge, your lanyard, a program. And if sometimes we have other little pieces of information that we'll hand out. At this point, I don't know exactly what those might be. But at that point, you put your badge on your lanyard, and you walk out, and you're all done. You're ready to go. So for those of you who are going to be going through full service, sometimes, unfortunately, we have individuals who have pre-registered, but maybe something wasn't quite right with the registration process that couldn't be handled before the event. At that case, once you come to Members Gate, we're going to ask you politely for everyone is going to be asked for their name so that our registration greeters can direct you as quickly as possible to the areas that you need. If you are a member who has pre-registered but has unfortunately had a glitch with their registration, we will ask you to go into the registration queue. And this is because this is a very limited area. And I'm going to let John further go into details on that area for you, because that's his domain.
Okay, so if anybody needs to register on site, clear up an issue with membership or registration, add an RV to your registration because you decided to show up with your RV, you have to come into the registration office to handle that. We're actually not going to let you inside the office this year because it's a small room, and small rooms are not good these days. So we're going to have a table set up on the outside deck there. We will do our business with you outside. We will have, appropriate coverings and canopy in case we get some rain or anything like that. Our registration staff member out there, I call it the registration greeter, will help make sure that there's not any crowds congregating outside. If, for example, we have too many people, then they'll probably ask you to write your phone number down on your waiver. We'll put it in a pile and we'll call you an order from your car. You have to go wait for us so that we don't have a backup or a crowd. That's a process very similar to what Bill Ryan is using for manufacturing check-in. Let's see, what else? I think that is pretty much it for the office stuff. Anybody looking for free red vines this year? Sorry, not this year. Have to bring your own. Dennis, because since you work in this area also, do you have anything else you want to add about the operation in that office area?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. Like you said, we're going to deal with each of the individuals outside on the deck as opposed to inside the office. So it'll just be the three of us that are in the office, John, myself, and Don Osterley, who also is co-chair.
Right.
So.
Okay. I think that covers it for arrival and registration.
Okay. Any questions for Michelle or John?
Doesn't look like we have any open questions. Let's move along.
Okay, so we can move along then. So great, thank you for that. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Mike to talk about the manufacturing registration process.
All right, Bill Ryan couldn't make this meeting today, so I'm going to cover this for him. As many of you know, one of the benefits or perks of being a member of this club and attending the WinterBlast event is that you can actually have your own manufacturing area where you can make fireworks. And we use the club's license and permits for all the club members to do that legally. But it is a controlled area, and you can't just simply set up camp and start manufacturing. You need to first get yourself a manufacturing application into Bill Ryan, aka Lord Vader. So if you haven't done that, make sure that you contact Bill Ryan. I don't have his email handy, but we can get it to you. Anybody that is on this call can get that to you if you need it and don't have it. So let's assume that you are going to manufacture. And if that's the case, then as John alluded to, you need to first register for the event. And then I'm not certain the mechanism, if John and staff are going to alert Bill that you're on site, or if you need to do it yourself. John, do you know the answer to that?
I talked briefly with Bill about this, and I think he's already given the manufacturers the instructions to, and I think those instructions are after you're registered and have your event badge, call him or Merle,
Okay.
his co-chair. I think that's all been provided to people, and then they'll tell you if you can come down or what you have to do.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John. So, and then once you've alerted Bill that you are registered and in the area, please wait in your car or an appropriate place that's away from people. And then you will be called in by Bill. And basically what he's trying to do is limit the amount of a crowd buildup around his pop-up area. On a typical Wednesday morning around 10 or 11 a.m., there's 20 people milling around down there, and we just can't have that this year. So wait in your car, he will call you down, and then you can take care of your manufacturing registration process. Once you get that call, go down there, and when you get to that area, please be respectful. Bill is quite concerned about his health. He's a little bit older. He's in that demographic where he has to be concerned. If he gets sick, it's going to be very bad. Please do wear your mask down there. Once you are assigned a manufacturing site and move away from Bill's pop-up area, then you are free to remove your mask and go about your business the way you see fit. It is an outdoor event, so you should be okay out there. I believe that is all that we have on that. If there are any questions, we'll be glad to answer them, either type them or live. And likewise, if you need Bill's email address, contact one of us and we will make sure that you get it. All right, all done.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so next I'll go ahead and talk about event volunteering. So,
Dennis, before we do that, somebody reminded me of something I forgot to point out from registration. If you have to pay money for membership registration, vendor table, RV, whatever, we are not taking cash in the registration trailer this year, starting this year. We need a check. We can take a credit card. You can show up with a money order, but we're moving away from cash, as the PGI did this last year. The seminar people will take cash for their seminar fees. The t-shirt people will take cash for your t-shirts, things like that. But please be prepared with a card or a check or something like that if you have to pay money in the registration booth. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Good point, John. Thank you. All right, so back to event volunteering. So this is a club that's 100% runs on volunteers. We have no paid staff positions or anything else like that. So we are asking everyone that's attending WinterBlast to volunteer for at least 1 hour of something during the event. We'll talk about where to go for signups on the next slide. And we're going to remind you again that, yes, we have the ability to purchase Class B product ahead of time under the club's license. You get to shoot it off. And in return for the ability to buy and shoot off that Class B product, everyone that does buy Class B has to work 1 hour at the B bunker. The B bunker is where we store the product, and there's in and out policies and procedures that have to be followed so that the club stays in good standing with the ATF. So at the very least, like I said, 1 hour for the B bunker if you're buying Class B product. The website has links for daily schedules for the volunteer signups. If you go to any one of these links that we'll put available, we'll get this available to you. If you go to any one of these links, it brings you to the sign up site. The other days links are still available on that as well. So again, we're asking everyone to sign up for at least 1 hour shift. If you're a B bunker and Class B product, if you could volunteer another hour somewhere else, that would be great. We would certainly appreciate that. Because again, without the volunteers, we may not be able to keep, say, for example, open shooting open as long as we need to. And we may have to curb other things if we can't get enough volunteers. Okay, some of the job descriptions that happen with these volunteer positions. Again, bunker duty, you're helping with the paperwork, you're assisting members that purchase the product to move it in and out of the bunkers. And you're making sure that this year that we have not as many people congregating at the bunker at one time, again, for safe distance protocols, okay? We have Class C safety, that's the Class C line. And that's helping to watch the Class C, help guide people to shoot off the Class C fireworks safely. And the Class C fireworks, you can purchase those directly on site. As far as B safety, that's helping with the B line. That's for hand firing, electrical firing, and the use of the Class B products in and of themselves, which are the professional big boy things. The ability to buy those are on the member website under the event, but again, it's only limited to members. If you're a sponsored guest, then your sponsor also has to be attending and can buy the Class B product that way. Okay, so again, we're asking everybody to please 1 hour of your day out of the entire event. Not a large price to pay for the ability to attend an event like this, which, you know, we're great that we're happy and glad that we're able to put this event back on again this year. Okay. One of the other big things that we need help on is what we call the choke point security section. There is a paid security guard there. This choke point is the spot where we have the in and out between the member area and the public. And that's between the opening and the gates between the track grandstands and the WPA member area. Again, we need help to keep only allowing WPA members back and forth. Okay. Seminar helper helps the production crew putting on the seminars. Also may be able to help people signing up for the seminars for pre-registration, for the workshops and things like that. And then we're also asking this year for registration helpers to assist the registration staff in directing people where to go for the right areas of work that's needed. One thing to note, if you do sign up as a registration helper, that we're asking you to wear a mask during the time that you are volunteering. The registration staff has all agreed that we will be wearing masks during the time that we are at registration, because like we said, we are the one group that comes in contact with everybody that's attending the event, everybody that has any business during the event, such as, you know, vendor crews and things like that. So be respectful again with the registration folks. And if you want to help out at registration, please be prepared to wear a mask during your time on shift. Okay, so do we have any questions about registration, volunteering, and the event volunteering in and of itself? And Tackett.
I've got one quick thing to make the volunteer signups a little easier. Steve Yoss put together the new website, which for anyone out there, it is winterblast.westernpyro.org. And there's a menu in there that will take you to the volunteer page, and the volunteer page will take you to all the cryptic URLs that was on that previous slide. So winterblast.westernpyro.org, and use the event drop-down menu to go to the volunteer page. Sign up for something. You'll meet new and interesting people. It's a great way to find a staff job and help support the club, and we need it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have to say, I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's how I got where I am today. So, I know Mike's typing the answer to Tom Handel had a question about rocket safety. Rocket safety is considered beeline. It just happens to be in a different location from the rest of the beeline. So, but yes, we absolutely have volunteers for rockets as well. Any other questions on volunteering?
Just a reminder that this year we're not having signups on site. All the volunteering is going to be done online. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Nope, you hit that correct. Thanks for contributing that, Michelle. Okay, I'm going to proceed. Will it be reimbursement for cleanup? Absolutely. Once again, if you stay on Monday for cleanup, you will participate in the refund of the cleanup fees. There's a sign in and sign out process for that. And again, that is all on Monday. Okay, I'm going to cover now some other things that what you can expect at WinterBlast. So the first thing we're going to start with is the weather, and I'm not giving you a weather forecast. I'm talking about what the weather can be like. You are in the desert. If you have not been to WinterBlast, if you have not been to the deserts of Arizona, you are in the desert. It can be very hot during the day, and as soon as the sun starts going down, it gets cold very quickly. So be prepared for that. I'll talk about that in just a little bit more when I talk about what to bring. Okay, lodging, the host hotel is the Quality Inn. There are still hotel rooms available. For those of you that are members of the club, there are member discounted rates, not only at the Quality Inn, but also at some of the other hotels in the area. And again, you'll see that on the events page. There's a link to the hotels. So again, please, there is still room at the inn, as they say. Okay, in terms of what to bring, the first thing that is on the list is PPE. And we're talking personal protection equipment. And this is from a pyrotechnics perspective, not necessarily from the medical perspective, okay? We'll talk about PPE in just a moment, after I get through the list of other things that I think we should bring, okay? And this list is my list of things that I have learned over the years of going, and I've been attending WinterBlast since 2002. The first thing I have on my list after PPE is a chair. There's limited seating in the fourth turn on the track. There was a section of bleachers there that we have access to. We do not have access to the grandstands, since that is now controlled by the city for the public viewing area. So please make sure you bring a chair to sit on. With that, you also want to, it's very dark at night. While the club does its best to provide some lighting, we're still limited in what we can do. So please make sure you bring a flashlight or a headlamp. For your headlamp, you can get a lot of bright ones are out there these days. They're not that expensive any longer. But the one thing that I prefer is making sure the headlamp has a red night light setting on it. And we would want to use that red light instead of the bright LED light, because when your head's down and you're walking and you lift your head up to say hello to somebody, you don't want to blind them. So definitely, if you have a headlamp that has the red light setting on it, that would be best. The desert can get be windy and dry. So I always make sure I bring extra lotion with me. The very first year I was out there, it wasn't that windy, but it was just breezy enough along with the heat and not drinking enough water that my skin got very, very dry. So, took a trek down to the store, bought my lotion, and I bring my bottle of lotion with me all the time. Make sure you bring cold and warm weather gear, clothing wise. Yes, that means you have to pack twice, but you won't regret it. Okay, because again, it does get very cold once that sun goes down, and especially when you're sitting on there, in the bleacher, on your chair, watching the demos and shows. Face masks are encouraged but not required. You also want to make sure you bring some sunscreen if you're out and about during the day, because again, that sun is very strong, even though you may not feel it at first. Okay, and then I always, like the Boy Scout, I'm always prepared in Lake Havasu with my rain gear. This event does go on rain or shine. Okay. All right, not seeing any questions about PPE. I'm just about what to bring and what to expect from that perspective. PPE, the nice picture over here is a great example of what some of the PPE looks like. And this is required for shooting in all the areas, okay? You want to make sure that you have a long sleeve shirt, long pants, closed-toed shoes, hard hat, safety glasses, and gloves are recommended but not necessarily required. The same thing with hearing, earplugs and those kind of hearing protection devices. All of your clothing needs to be made of natural fibers or some kind of flame-proof fabric. And this prevents any injuries should something happen where, we don't want the, nylon and plastic can melt to your skin very, very quickly if for some reason, something happens and there's a fire or you get debris on you. So that's what the PPE is. If you do not have the PPE, you will be asked to leave until you return to the shooting line with your protection. I have found that I can buy the hard hat, my gloves, and my earplugs, and my safety glasses. I can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's. Feeding into one of the next topics, several years ago, I was actually able to buy my fireman's helmet at the club auction. So that's where you can get PPE normally. The regular hard hats like you see these guys wearing comes from Home Depot or Lowe's. That's just fine to wear the way it is, okay? And the one thing about your PPE, I know we ask all the time that you're supposed to be able to show your event credentials when you're on the B line or the C line shooting. At least making sure that your wristband is visible is definitely a requirement, especially when you have all you have your winter coat on, and then you have your fire suit or whatever. It would be hard to try and dig out that lanyard to show that you got your pass and everything. So at the very least, make sure that you can see your wristband is available. Okay. One of the other things to bring if you are going to be shooting Class B product is some kind of device to shoot, to light your your black match with if you're going to be hand firing. So some kind of a torch. Okay. All right. So moving on. I'm not seeing any questions regarding.
Dennis, just a point of clarification. The PPE is required only when you're on the shooting lines, or is it required everywhere?
It's only on the shooting lines. I would, however, recommend that members get to sit on the track against the wall 2 rows deep during the displays and demos. It is recommended at the very least that you wear your safety glasses during those displays and demos, because the smoke and debris tends to drift towards the audience, and this is a great way to protect yourself from anything that might occur. A few years ago, we had a minor incident where we had some gasoline bombs that didn't all go the right way, and we actually had some, some liquid fell on some people, and they had their hard hats and their safety glasses on during the event, and therefore, they were still safe that way. So, again, recommended during the displays and demos if you're sitting out on the track. Okay, go ahead, Tackett.
I'm usually in the manufacturing area, so I'm on my feet all day long. Go grab some dinner, come back out, and I'm on my feet all night. I always bring 2 pairs of boots. The ground out there is pretty ugly, and it's nice to be able to change. And don't make the newbie mistake that I did, where I went out and I got a really nice heavy duty hard hat. And after you have one of those things on for 4 or 5 hours, it'll make your neck hurt. You're not on a construction site where guys are dropping bricks from 20 stories. You're trying to keep a rocket stick from hurting you when it bounces off your head. A thin hard hat is, I won't guarantee it, but in all my experience being hit in the head out there, a nice thin hard hat was totally acceptable. Just a regular hardware store hard hat, they're fine.
Yep, exactly right. Yep. Okay, thanks for that, Tackett. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions on what to expect. So the next thing we'll talk about real quick is we do have an auction that is planned for Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. in the bleachers. Things that are available for sale are generally most always pyro related. There's chemicals for those that buy, some supplies, there's books and other collectibles and things like that. Sometimes there is pyro gear available in terms of PPE type gear, but not always. We never know. It changes from year to year. There's artwork and other things like that. So, bring your money, come to the auction. If you have anything that you're willing to donate to the club through the auction, bring it with you to the bleachers at 1 p.m. on Sunday. We do not have anyone that is collecting any of those donated items beforehand. The people that are wearing the safety vests, that is for those that are volunteers, either staff or volunteers, and those vests are required only, again, if you're a safety volunteer or safety staff or security for that matter. Okay.
And those vests are provided for that, so you don't have to bring your own. If you have one and you want to bring it, that's fine, but there are vests available for the safety volunteers.
The couple of questions on the auction regarding cash. If I remember correctly, yes, we are still going to be accepting cash at the auction. Prefer credit card or check though. Okay, so Tom Budar's asking what's acceptable cash. Again, I think we covered that. The workshop fees, correct cash. Again, we're expecting that to be done mostly ahead of schedule, pre-registration wise. Pyro gear at the Pyro Shack, that will accept cash. And then the auction will accept cash as well. So very limited places will accept cash. I would imagine the food vendor will accept cash as well, of course, but we don't control that one. So, okay. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Sam Christensen for just a bit so she can talk about the upcoming WPA raffle.
Yeah, hi guys. So the WPA Promotions Committee is putting on a raffle to benefit the club. As we've been talking about, it's really great. We need to be supporting the club right now since we are on a tight budget. But $5 are, tickets are only $5 each, and 2 winners are going to be pulled at Sunday's auction. You get a choice of 1 year free WPA membership or a visit to AM Pyro in their facility near Springfield, Missouri. You get to tour their facility and build a few shells, which is a pretty sweet deal. Travel's not included. Again, we are raising money for the for the club and we're on a budget, but the opportunity at AM Pyro is pretty sweet, or you get a 1-year free WPA membership. So those winners will be picked at Sunday's Sunday's auction. 2 people are getting pulled for that. And you can pick them up at the Class C information table. You can see Amanda Nixon for that. We'll also be roaming around the event. You can see me or Amanda. You can look for Amanda at the Afterglow, or me out on the field. And all proceeds will be benefiting the club. So support the WPA and buy a raffle ticket. We will be accepting cash and credit card and Venmo, and I believe check as well. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sam.
Thank
Anybody
you.
got any questions regarding the raffle? Looking that, that'd be sweet. And Sam, that's just a regular membership, of course, right? Not a
Correct.
gold membership.
No. We're trying to keep it light.
All right, great. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. All right. Lastly, oh no, I said lastly, I'm sorry. I almost forgot the whole subject. I'm going to turn it over to Mike Garrett again, who's now going to talk about seminars and workshops.
Thank you, Dennis. So somebody asked a question about the WinterBlast website. There's the link for it. It's winterblast.westernpyro.org. And at that website, you can get the event schedule and all kinds of other information, the volunteer signups, lists of presenters. You know, it'll tell you who the presenters are. There'll be bios, there'll be abstracts or descriptions of the seminars. The schedule will include things like, in addition to seminars and workshops, will also include the displays and any other scheduled event, the business meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So go check that out. It's actually a pretty sweet site. I'd really like to give a shout out to Steve Yoss and John Noonan for getting that up and running. And it's the best part about that site is it's reusable. So we're not going to have to rebuild it over and over. It's just wonderful. So please go check that out. We're going to keep everything on that website up and running through the event. So for example, you can register to be a volunteer at any time on site, in the hotel room, in your car. You can do it now, you can do it then. So that gives you access to that. Likewise, if anything on the schedule changes, we have the ability to do a live update on the schedule. So if you get to a tent and there's a sign there that says this event has been changed or something and you're confused, well, then maybe you should go check the event schedule on the website. Obviously, the printed program is frozen in time as of what, a week ago or thereabouts. So we're not going to be able to do any on the fly updates there, but things happen and, you know, people get sick, can't come, new things pop up, et cetera, et cetera. All right, workshops with materials fees. Those are the hands-on type seminars. So I'll differentiate seminars and workshops here in just a minute. But basically the workshops have material fees that you will need to pay. We're going to do that in a pre-registration type format online. Hopefully that will be up on Monday, maybe Tuesday. I'm not certain. The person who's doing that has a day job and he's quite busy. So we will get that up and running as soon as we can. That will allow you to pre-register for things like the bagged mines workshop, the round shell workshop, the black powder rockets workshop. There's a lath wheel workshop, sort of a, you know, kind of a spinny wheel thing with throwing sparks everywhere. And others as well. Class sizes are limited because we have to buy materials. In fact, I've already placed all the orders. We've already set limits on all of those class sizes. So once they are full, that is the end of it. We can't put anybody else in there. In addition, the tents just aren't all that big. You know, you can only get so many people wedged into those places. You can pay for your fees on the website using the shopping cart feature and pay with Visa, PayPal, and a couple of other ways as well. Next slide, please. All right. As was mentioned above, volunteers is what make this club go. The seminars team needs a couple of volunteers. We will, assuming we don't sell out online, we will have a table near registration, but far enough away to do all the social distancing business. And we need a couple people to man that or to staff that table and take additional signups. Once all of the workshops are sold out, then that will close down and you won't be needed for that function any longer. In addition, we need a few helpers to just sort of float around and make sure that all of the seminars are up and running. The presenters are there. They've got their USB stick and it works in the computer and the video is working and et cetera, et cetera. Also, in the case of the workshops, we will need people at the front door to check in the people that have pre-registered. The thing about the workshops is you can attend it without paying, but you're not allowed to build anything because you didn't pay for any materials. But also we want to make sure all the people that paid get in first, because we don't want to take up seats with people that did not pay and don't intend to build anything. So that becomes an issue. All right, so let me explain seminars versus workshops just for a brief moment. I probably should have done that sooner. They're very similar, but a seminar basically is a lecture type of an environment where there's somebody up front and they're talking to you and giving you some educational information, very much like a college or a high school lecture sort of situation. We're a club, and so we're much more interactive. I mean, you can talk with them, ask questions, raise your hand, they'll ask questions. You know, you can definitely interact with them. A workshop involves the participants actually getting their hands on live product and building fireworks devices. For example, a black powder rocket, you will get to build that rocket yourself. You will be given a tube, you will be given the tooling and the black powder and some instruction on how to pound out your own rocket, how to attach it to a stick, and how to put a heading on it. And so it's all done with expert help. Everybody there is very friendly, and they're trying to pass along this knowledge and make sure that everybody has a great time and hopefully learn something. These are going to be confined spaces in these tents. And so the mask policy is kind of open. Please be respectful. If an instructor requests that you wear a mask, you must comply. And we're going to leave that up to each of the instructors. They are volunteers, just like everybody else here. They don't have to do this. And if you're rude to them, you know, they might go away and not volunteer any longer. So please, you know, just be respectful. If they ask you to wear a mask, do it. Personally, in those confined spaces of those tents, I'll be wearing a mask. Just, you know, I don't know where everybody's been or what they're doing and what their status is. And I cannot afford to take this disease home to my 90-year-old immunocompromised father. That would just be a bad, bad thing. All right, next slide, please. Okay, I guess we're done there. I did want to talk a little bit about some of the other seminars before we get into the general business meeting. We've got a huge variety of things. We have 50 numbered seminars scheduled. Some of those seminars run multiple times, exactly the same seminar. Obviously, you only need to attend one if you're interested or need to. And some of them, like the ball shell seminar or workshops rather, have 2 sessions. There's a build session on one day that requires some overnight drying, and then you come back the next day and finish your product. So when you count up all of the scheduled events, it comes out pretty close to about 70 scheduled events. So there's a lot going on in 5 days at WinterBlast. That schedule on that website I showed you earlier is your best friend. All right, that's all I've got, unless there are questions.
Okay, thanks, Mike. It doesn't look like we have any questions on the seminars and workshops. Will masks be provided when required by the workshop seminars instructors? No, it's bring your own. So, okay. All right, I'm going to talk about the general business meeting, and we have a couple of other topics that have come up that we'll want to discuss as well before we finish today. General business meeting is being held in the bleachers Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Arizona time. It is for members only. The minutes from the last year's general membership meeting are in the program, which we'll talk about in just a second. And again, the draft of the agenda is there as well. We'll also have the agenda online, and we'll again talk about that in just a second. The general membership business meeting is the only once a year at this point in time where the club gets together to conduct the club's business. Yes, the board of directors meets on a regular basis to keep business going and strategic planning and the like throughout the year. But in terms of the whole club getting together, this is the one time of the year that we do gather for this. So we encourage everybody to attend the meeting. Not only do we conduct the club business, we do have the election of officers. And occasionally we have awards to present. This year for the club elections, we have 3 positions that are up for election. First is the club president. Kevin Mather has indicated that he is willing to run for another term. We have the treasurer position to fulfill. Tamara Struminger, who is filling in, graciously volunteered to fill out this last remaining year on a volunteer basis, has agreed to run for election for that position. And then finally, we have VP of Communications that is open for election. Unfortunately, Tackett is not running for re-election, so this is an open position. We're going to miss you, Tackett. So we said that the program, the agenda and the minutes for the general business meeting are in the program. We have a lot of online content that is referenced in the program by QR codes. And not only will those QR codes be in the program, but they're going to be posted around the event site as well. So it allows you quick access to get to the latest information, such as one of the things Mike was talking about, the changes to the scheduling and the seminars. Anything that does occur will be available in that. Okay. So again, there will be a printed program. A lot of content is available online instead of being in the program. So we will have limited Wi-Fi access available to the general membership during the event this year. Again, it's not going to be all that strong because we are trying to save money, don't forget. So look for some exciting changes. And this is one of the things for those that may have attended the virtual Winter Blast last year. We've learned a lot, and we're actually able to now start bringing some of that online melding of information, if you will, into our live events. So pretty excited for that. Okay. And then lastly, I would like to turn it over to Tackett, who has some additional information that he would like to share regarding cleanup.
All right. I would like to explain our cleanup deposits because it's slightly odd, basically. But everybody who is 18 years or older who registers for the event, it throws in a $20 cleanup deposit, and we're trying to get people to stop calling it a cleanup fee. It's a cleanup deposit. So the way that works is you kick in your $20, and then on Monday morning after the event is over, there's a mountain of stuff to clean up. Now it's not like we're camping in a pristine, beautiful forest and every single little tiny fleck of stuff needs to go away, but we need to be good citizens there. So we clean up, and we usually work from roughly 9 in the morning until about 1 in the morning. And a lot of it is 1 in the afternoon, 9 a.m., 1 p.m. A lot of it is people picking up trash, bringing in mortar racks. We hire a ready labor crew to do the heavy lifting because most of us are old enough, we don't want to lift that much stuff anymore. Everything goes back into the containers, and then at sometime around 1 o'clock or so, there's some lunch. We eat lunch, everybody drives home. You sign in and you sign out when you're doing your cleanup. Somebody dumps all that information into a spreadsheet. They pay ready labor, and then the money that's left over is given back to you. You get your deposit back, but you don't get $20 back. You get back your slice of whatever money is left over. I think the last couple times I got $125 for staying for cleanup. If you want, you can check the box that says donate my money back to the club. Okay. And we realize that not everybody can stay until Monday afternoon. Like half the world has a 2-day drive back home. I'm one of those people. If you can work until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, that's great. You just sign in at 9, sign out at 10 or 11 or whatever, and you get a prorated amount back. You'll definitely get your $20 back if you show up for a while. It's crucial that it happens because we either have to pay to get it all done or we have to do it ourselves. So clean up deposit. Come on, clean up. It's fun. You can hang out with your friends. So that is it.
All right, thanks, Tackett. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. We covered a lot of information, and I think this was a great opportunity for folks to understand what's happening at WinterBlast before you arrive on site. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mike for any other closing comments.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, thank you everyone who presented. Really appreciate your time for the and efforts to put this together. Thank you everyone who attended. Hopefully you learned something. This presentation was run through our Pyrotech Talks system, if you will. We have a group that is doing these online seminars on a semi-regular basis. We have approximately, I want to say 45 of them at this point. If you are a member of the club, they are available to you as recordings. So you can see all of the previously recorded ones. Obviously, when you watch them live, they're free to everybody that shows up. The first 100 seats are open. All right, so with that, the staff, I wanted to mention the staff just briefly for this group is pretty sizable. Obviously, it isn't just me. If you can you go back to that slide just for a quick second, Dennis? There's about 12 people on there, and we require each and every one of them at some point. They all do different things. Steve Wilson is our producer. He's the guy that kind of got this all started. I'm his co-producer. We've got 4 technicians that work regularly: Brooke, Roselle, Tom Calderwood, myself, and Joe Wright. Publicity is Sam Christensen. Graphics is Tom Calderwood. Webmaster John Noonan, also Steve Yoss. We probably need to add him in there. Craig Foster is our PGI liaison, and advisory staff is Kurt Medlin and Dominikas Lavicius. And I hope I did not butcher your name, Dominikas. And in addition to the staff, we are sponsored by 2 clubs, the WPA and the PGI. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to do this. Basically it gives us a home to put our stuff. Likewise, if you are a PGI member, you have access to all of the recordings. All right, with that, again, thank you to all our presenters. Thank you to the attendees. Look forward to seeing you at WinterBlast in about 2 weeks. Thanks for coming, and we will see you out there. Be safe, stay green, and take care.
All right.